In today's video, we're going to be discussing the brand new Rare Candy Trainer card, what my honest thoughts are, every single Stage 2 Pokemon that are going to be eating with this new trainer card, and ultimately how to counter it if it does in fact become meta. Hey guys, I'm Zen, welcome to the channel, and this is the brand new Rare Candy card, which if you don't know is exactly what we've been asking for since set 1. However, it actually being in the game now might have some serious implications. Now, if you don't know what it does, this is what it does. Choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a Stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it, skipping the Stage 1. You can't use this card during your first turn or on a basic Pokemon that was put into play this turn. Now, with the way this is worded, this card is going to function like many other cards. For example, if you have a Sabrina in your hand and your opponent doesn't have any opposing benched Pokemon, you can't use Sabrina. Very, very obvious. However, if you look here, if you have a Stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, then you could use Rare Candy, meaning you can't use Rare Candy and then cycle your hand out with Iono to find that Stage 2 card, which is already where kind of my mind was going, potentially using this type of really strong effect, especially for Stage 2 Pokemon. Now, what everyone has been asking is this Rare Candy going to change the game? Is it game breaking? Is it the best thing ever? And honestly, a little bit of yes and no. So I guess the best answer is maybe right in between. And the reason I'm saying this is because without a doubt, this is an amazing card for Stage 2 Pokemon. However, the reason I'm saying it's like a maybe is because unlike the best deck in the format right now, which is Giratina Darkrai before this new set, the reason that's the best deck in the format and why Articuno has been very strong, Palkia has been pretty strong solo decks, is because of the game's mechanic to guarantee a basic Pokemon in your starting hand. There is no guarantee that you will have your Rare Candy and the Stage 2 Pokemon that you need on top of the basic Pokemon to evolve using that formula without the Stage 1. So with that, taking all of that into consideration, it really does become a situation where it depends on the luck of the draw. There's no way to sugarcoat it. However, if you do happen to find yourself in that situation, this is going to be a very strong card for your Stage 2 decks. So again, there's no game mechanic except the fact that you do guarantee yourself that you will start with a basic. So if you start with a basic, have your Rare Candies and maybe Ionos or something to shuffle your hand and mulligan, then maybe you can get yourself in a position where you find those Pokemon quicker. For example, real quick, I think something like Sprigatito Iono would be pretty good because you can Iono Sprigatito, guarantee that you're drawing your Meowscarada, and then the following turn, if you already have Rare Candy, you can just evolve right into it, right? So that's just one situation, and we have so many more we're going to be talking about in today's video. And now with that out of the way, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Steamzard, aka the brand new Charizard EX. This is what everyone is thinking about, and I'm honestly super happy that they're doing this because this guy deserves it the most. He's gotten so much backlash about being the worst Charizard. However, Rare Candy literally put this Charizard on top of the Crimson Storm. I mean, some people are still going to play the Crimson Storm, don't get me wrong, but if you have your Charmander and then you Rare Candy the second turn into your Charizard, you can Stoke, and by turn 3, guarantee to start popping off some Steam Artilleries for 150. This thing is crazy. I am super excited about this. However, it's only one EX Pokemon, and EX Pokemon aren't the only Pokemon getting benefited by this Rare Candy. In fact, there's a ton of different categories of Stage 2 Pokemon that are really getting a massive buff with Rare Candy. First, I guess we should just talk about every other EX Pokemon that comes to mind. Next up is, of course, Infernape. Can you imagine your opponent seeing you with a Chimchar, knowing darn well that the following turn you could smack him for 140? So with that being said, any Pokemon that is a Stage 2 that requires 1 to 2 energies to dish out damage, huge benefit from Rare Candy if you so happen to have both those cards in your hand. Again, you can literally just run 1 Chimchar, 2 Rare Candies, 2 Infernapes, 2 Ionos, 2 Professor Research to really like maximize the chance that you get this card. I don't recommend that, but maybe something along those lines could be very, very valuable. Next up is Gallade EX. Imagine popping off this guy for 2 energy and then just start destroying your opponents with Energized Blaze. That's awesome. Or how about the new Beedrill EX? Again, another EX Pokemon requiring only 2 energy. So by turn 2, if you're going second, you're popping off Crushing Spear. Also de-ramping your opponent's Pokemon. If they were running a Charizard Stoke and then you were able to get your Beedrill online to attack them, well then their Stoke does nothing because they're still going to be 1 energy behind. You still get destroyed, don't get me wrong, unless you cape your Beedrill, but still, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Or how about Garchomp EX? Another Pokemon that a lot of people were like, this isn't that great, you know, for stage 2, yada, yada, yada. However, now on turn 2, you can evolve into your Garchomp EX and just say, hey, I'm sniping my opponent's bench for 50. Like, that's kind of great, guys. Like, this Rare Candy's implications just for EX Pokemon alone, insane. Speaking of EXs, we have 2 brand new Stage 2 EX Pokemon coming with the Celestial Guardians. I believe that's Guardians, not Gardens, a set. The set A3. First up is Lunala EX. So again, a really strong card that does require 3 energy to attack. However, it's a stage 2 with the ability Psychic Connect. Once during your turn, you may move all your psychic energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. So if this is on your active and your Rare Candy and you have something like a Giratina EX, well, that 3 energy requirement doesn't matter because you're popping off 100 damage easily. Speaking of which, I don't have it here, actually. Let me see. I don't have a picture of a Gengar EX real quick to pull up, but I do want to point out that the same strategy works with Gengar EX and a Dawn, right? With Giratina on turn 2, they can't use any supporter cards. I'm happy for this Gengar, aka Genjar meta that we might be seeing. Then we have Solgaleo, who I think is actually one of the better EX Pokemons considering those out of those 2 because of the Rising Road right there. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch it with your active Pokemon. A lot of people are like, this isn't great. Pair it with the 2 energy attack Soul Breaker, which does 120. However, you do deal 10 damage to yourself. That's insane, guys. You can stall with something like Snorlax, Drud, something heavy in the front. And then once you Rare Candy and get your guy online, Solgaleo EX, come in and start dishing out 120. That 10 damage it does to itself means nothing if you throw in something like a Shaman on the bench. So I think Solgaleo personally is better than Lunala EX, but that's just my quick opinion. You didn't come here for the opinion. You came here to see what the Rare Candy means for the future of the meta. And this is where things are getting really spicy, you guys. And we're talking about fossil Pokemon because if you didn't know, even though it's an item card, Dome Fossil and all the other fossils are played as if they are a 40 HP basic colorless Pokemon, which Rare Candy will interact with if it's anything like the official TCG, which means turn 2 Rampardos, anyone, this is going to be insane. I already tweeted about this earlier. Rampardos and fossil Pokemon like Kabutops are going to be pretty nuts with this item card right here. However, the issue is you're depending on 2 item cards. The game mechanic of starting with a fossil is not guaranteed. It's not a basic Pokemon in that sense. It only becomes a basic after you play that card, meaning you can't start your turn or start your game with a fossil in hand. So that's going to be the issue with fossil Pokemon. However, the fact that you can still use a Rare Candy with something like Rampardos to get Rampardos online so much quicker is insane. So we talked about EXs, we talked about fossil stage 2s. How about all the stage 2s with amazing abilities, you guys? Serperior, anyone? We haven't seen Serperior in a minute, but now this is easily splashable in almost any deck. You can go Snivy, Serperior, Rare Candy, and something like Venusaur if you want, the full line. Or you could skip out on a single Ivysaur if you want. The possibilities are endless, and that's just one Pokemon with an ability that is pretty strong for a stage 2. We have Greninja that is now even more splashable in every single deck. So Greninja and Cyrus go together like peanut butter and jelly. And with every the current meta, with every game situating with just ramping on the stalling and ramping on your bench, Greninja is now splashable in every deck. You have a rare candy, you evolve to your Greninja, you snipe them, you Cyrus. The possibilities are endless just with this one single Pokemon becoming even more splashable than it already is. Or how about Gardevoir and Mewtwo? I mean, a lot of times missing out your Kirlia or that stage 1 was really rough. But now all you need is a Ralts, evolve into your Gardevoir, and you're ramping so much faster. And it's not even that. You could use it for Lunala. You can use it for Giratina. All your Psychic Pokemon just got an insane buff. Rare Candy's implications are insane. We have things like Crobat that pair with Arceus EX. Really cool ability. And now you can dish out even more damage with this Cunning Link ability, or whatever it's called. I can't read it, it's too dark. Another newer card is Pawmont. This is pretty good because it also retreats for 0, and it deals damage like Drud with the ability Counterattack, and for 2 energy can also pop off 70. So there's another stage 2 that is really good with Rare Candy. But I think the one I'm most excited about has got to be Dusknoir, man. With Shadow Void, you can splash this into almost any deck and add to your sustain. Venusaur decks, Bibarel decks, anything that just maximizes sustain. Irida decks, heck, you might even be able to put this in a Gyarados deck, right, and just keep that thing alive forever. Man, Rare Candy is kind of crazy. But again, this is only for abilities. So we talked about EXs, fossils, stage 2 Pokemon with abilities. How about all the aggressive stage 2 Pokemon that only really need 1 to 2 energy to attack? Kind of like my boy right here, Meowscarada. Already a huge meta threat. This thing comes in 130 into an EX Pokemon, but now by turn 2, like I talked about earlier in the video, you can just bring Meowscarada in and just smack him for 130 so quickly for 2 energy. This thing is crazy. It's not the only one though. It's not the only one. Another one is, well, the baby version of Beedrill that only requires 1 energy. You might even be able to splash that into a Beedrill EX deck. I don't know. This whole set is getting my mind ready to just start cooking up so many decks. I'm very excited. We also have Victory Bell, who does have an ability, but like I didn't feel like you should add this to the ability portion. So you take your pick. This is stage 2 with an ability that you can definitely use Rare Candy with, or even just a stage 2 that requires 2 energy to attack 60, but also has an ability to take advantage of that. Like Victory Bell stocks went up tremendously, but not only Victory Bell, we also have a couple of other ones that synergize with something, a supporter card called Cynthia. Yeah, Togekiss. Insane. 2 energy, 60. Cynthia becomes what is that, 120 plus another 50. That's 170 damage. Togekiss stocks way through the roof. Garchomp stocks way through the roof. If not to also help you cycle through your deck, Garchomp is going to be so good. This Garchomp might just be a tech card at this point. You can play Gible, Rare Candy into your Garchomp, and now for your other cards that you're searching for, you can just use the Reckless Shearing over and over again. Honestly, that's pretty spicy. I might have to make a video on that in the future. Another Gen 4 card is Staraptor. However, this one caveat, you do require a berry. So if you don't have a berry, I don't think your Staraptor is going to kind of do the best, to be honest. Just a quick caveat there. And then a couple older Gen 1 Pokemon that got new revamped versions of themselves, specifically Gengar right here, Genjar with the Hypnoblast. You put him asleep for 70 on turn 2 is kind of crazy. You have the Alakazam that also hits their bench for 2. That's kind of crazy. And then don't forget the Machampskis right here that gets beefed up. And if you also keep adding energy, can dish up to, I believe, what was it, 120 damage. Okay, and there's probably way more Pokemon, but I tried to go thoroughly through the list. Also, the new set that's coming out, there's going to be so many more stage 2s that might be pretty spicy with this, but that's just the quick ones that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now, how do you counter Rare Candy? And again, because of what it said, needing the stage 2 in their hand, I think Mars is probably going to be your best bet, especially if they play something like a basic Pokemon that you're afraid of. By the second turn, they could just start stomping you out. Then I think Mars turn 1, or even to be honest, something like a rare candy, not a rare candy, a red card, I've been saying rare candy so much, would be very valuable. However, another card that I think is going to be very, very, very valuable, to be honest, has got to be Hand Scope. Because now you can hold your red cards and your Mars, look into their hands, see what they got. If they don't have a stage 2, you're not worried about anything. They don't even have they don't have a rare candy. If they have at least one of them, then maybe you want to cycle them out. But if they have none of them, you're like, that's fine. We're not worried about anything. So I think Hand Scope stocks might go up to counter this. And finally, a pretty neat combo that I thought could be pretty neat is the new Rotom decks. Having the verbiage of look at the top card of your deck, then you may shuffle your deck. It's giving you an option. Most of the cards in the game don't give you options. They say if you do this, this is happening, or do this to use this card, stuff like that, right? And the only other card that has something like this is the Unknown, that says once during your turn, you may choose either player. Look at the top card of that player's deck, right? So with the option you may, I can only imagine there's going to be like a word prompt on screen, like yes or no, shuffle or not. And then that's where you can choose. So you can look at the top card, see if it's the card you want. If it is, you don't shuffle and you go right into your Professor Research and you can draw that card. However, if it isn't your card, well, then you can shuffle and then hopefully go into your Professor Research and find the stage 2 Pokemon that you're looking for. And there you guys have it. There's my very helpful guide and tips to using Rare Candy before even Rare Candy comes to the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are there any other stage 2s or strategies or combos that you think might be cool? Also, what do you think of this style of video? I think I want to include some more of these informative, helpful, really thorough breakdowns of like how this one card can work with all of these other card type videos. If you guys like it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.